This book is called Little Elephant's Trunk. It's by Hazel Lincoln. We were talking about the letter L today. Look at that L. Little. There's two L's. Elephant's trunk. And then even Hazel has Hazel Lincoln. She has a lot of L's in her name. She did the pictures, so she's the illustrator, and she did the words in this book. There's the title page. All over the land, there was great excitement. It was springtime, and springtime meant babies. Babies everywhere. The chimpanzee's baby clung tightly to its mother. The giraffe's baby nuzzled its mother's face. And the tortoise's baby struggled out of its shell. The hippo's baby took straight to the water. The zebra's baby hid in the long grass. And the springbok's baby ran and ran. The elephants had a new baby too. The whole family rumbled with pleasure as they gazed lovingly at Little Elephant. Little Elephant took his first wobbly steps and fell. Something long and gray was tripping him up. He struggled to his feet, and it happened again. But now his mother was calling. The herd was going to the river. So a group of elephants is called a herd of elephants. Little Elephant hurried alongside his mother, stumbling as he tried to keep up. He slipped down the riverbank and fell with a loud splash into the water. He looked down. A face looked back at him, and something odd dangled from the middle of the face. That strange thing was a trunk. Then he realized he was looking at himself, at his own reflection. Do you remember when we read the book, Kitten's First Full Moon? The moon was reflecting in the water. Now we have Elephant looking at his reflection. What was that strange dangling thing for? Little Elephant didn't know, but he did know that he was thirsty. The zebra was at drinking the water, but Little Elephant couldn't do that. The trunk got in his way. He looked at the big elephants. They dipped their trunks into the water and put them in their mouths and drank. Little Elephant dipped his trunk into the water and put it in his mouth, and he sucked carefully. The water was cool and good. Do you remember when we were looking for animals on the computer? And some of them were dark and you could just see the water. We said we were waiting for the animals to come to the watering hole. It looks like the zebras and the elephants are at the same watering hole. Now the sun was burning down. The tortoise was shaded by his shell. But Little Elephant didn't have a shell. He looked at the big elephants. They were using their trunks to spray water over their backs. This looked like fun. Little Elephant trumpeted with delight as he joined the elephant shower. But now the herd was moving to their feeding ground on the far side of the river. Little Elephant followed his mother, but the water was very deep and it kept getting into his trunk. In a panic, he scrambled back to the bank. The chimps swung across the river on vines, but Little Elephant didn't have any hands. He looked at the big elephants. They all had their trunks sticking up out of the water. They were breathing by snorkeling. Little Elephant crashed into the water, thrust his trunk toward the sky, and paddled happily to the other side. When he came out of the river, he sank into the thick, deep mud. The mud felt good in the hot sun, and he longed to cover his body with it. The hippos with their short legs wallowed in the mud, but a little elephant's legs were too long. He looked at the big elephants. They picked up dollops of mud with their trunks and threw them on their backs. Little Elephant tried it. He splattered the cool mud all over himself. It felt wonderful. Can you imagine using mud to cool yourself off? The herd was on the move again, pushing their way through the long grass. The grass was so high that Little Elephant couldn't see where he was going. He was afraid he would lose his mother. The springboks leaped over the grass with their grateful legs as they followed their mothers, but Little Elephant's legs were thick and heavy. They were not made for jumping. He looked at the big elephants. They walked in a long line with Grandmother in the lead. Using its trunk, each elephant held the tail of the one in front. Quickly, Little Elephant lifted his trunk and grasped his mother's tail. Now he felt safe. At last, the elephants reached the feeding ground. Little Elephant spotted some juicy-looking leaves, but they were just out of his reach. The giraffes with their long necks nibbled delicately at the leaves, but Little Elephant's neck was very short. He looked at the big elephants. They curled their trunks around the leaves, tore them off, and put them in their mouths. After a little practice, he could reach the lowest leaves with ease. Delicious. The sun had started to dip below the horizon. It had been a long day for Little Elephant. He was very tired. He snuggled up close to his mother and felt something gently stroking him. It was her trunk. He curled his trunk around his mother's. What a very useful thing a trunk is after all, thought Little Elephant. Little Elephant had a lot to learn in this book. Some of you have some little brothers or sisters, don't you? Do you think they ever watch you to see what they should be doing? Just like Little Elephant watched the big elephant? I bet they do. And that is the end of this story, Little Elephant's Trunk.